Um, so I know that you want...
One point, by the way, is
yes.
you want to have this kind of question with one person at a time, not with his 2 drinking buddies or his wife or his kids. It needs to be private, this kind of conversation, because people have to have enough space to be honest.
And perhaps not in a venue where men are in the middle of other things.
Right.
Whether it's in the middle of bowling or drinking.
You might sometimes be able to take them aside and set up an opportunity to have lunch next week or something, but you don't have the whole conversation right there.
How would you do that if it came up, if you were at some other event and a man happened to mention his marriage, problems with his marriage, but it just wasn't the time to get in? How would you introduce the topic then in order to set up something? It's
the same thing, and then, would you like to get together to talk about it?
It being his marriage, or it being...
No, the weekend. The
possibility so you would still the weekend, and he would say, "What's that?" And you'd say, "Well, this isn't..."
Right.
Yeah,
I
don't want to take us away from what we're doing, but would you like to set up a time to talk about it?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a marriage counselor, so it might be a potential client. I recommend the Landmark Forum to a lot of people, so I don't know where it's going to go. There's more than one way that this might help him. It doesn't have to be the Sterling Men's Weekend.
So what I hear in that, which is important to me, is you're actually open to the possibility that the Sterling Men's Weekend, not only might he not choose to do it, it might not be right for him at this time in his life.
Ding.
Which seems very powerful to me. So I know that in our conversations that you would like men to be aware that having these conversations isn't just about discovering, dissolving their own barriers to having them, or becoming better enrollers, or getting men in the weekend, but to have some awareness that it's actually, I think you used the word dangerous.
Dangerous. Well, sometimes I use a little bit dramatic language, but you do need to be a bit careful. For instance, it's not appropriate in general to approach people at work. It's just not appropriate, because if we all bring our individual thing that we're excited about to work becomes not safe, and so you might have a friend at work and talk to him at lunch about it, but in general you have to be careful about bringing it to work. It's just an example.
Okay.
Or some people have had cult experiences, and of course we know that this is very wholesome and perfectly safe thing, but they don't know that, so they might overreact, or you have to be careful a little bit. It's possible to...
You might run across someone that's heard of it and has already decided that it's a cult.
Or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah. So it's a little bit risky. You have to be willing to take risks and try to keep them small.
Okay. Both in terms of the potential consequences.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, that element of it, both the personal risk that it takes for us to keep at this against all of the rejection and the no's and so on, and as well as the potential consequences in the real world, it just sort of is a reminder to me of a larger, I don't want to call it context, but goings on here, that it's I don't want to call it a battle, but it's a cause that we're fighting for. Not we're winning it, we win and lose sort of man by man.
Yeah.
But there's something at the core here that's important to many of us to bring into the world.
Right. So you want to have as big a context as you possibly can. For many people, their religious faith or their spirituality is their major big context. We have a planet here with 3 billion men on it, 6 billion people altogether, and it's sort of, okay, it's my planet. Now what am I going to do? And one option is to bring this kind of possibility to people, because it's going to make a huge difference. If my project is to make some little difference on the world, on the earth, before I'm done, I might choose to write songs and move people, and I know men who do that. Enrollment is one very high leverage way. With a couple of conversations and showing up at a couple of meetings, you can make an enormous difference in a person's life way, way, way more efficiently than anything else I would have to bring to the table. So the return on investment is dramatic, and the context is however big you can stand to make it. You know, think globally, act locally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to take the opportunity to just read two quotes that have meant a lot to me on the subject of courage. And the first one is, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the little voice at the end of the day that says, 'I'll try again tomorrow.'"
Mm-hmm.
I've forgotten, I didn't get the attribution, but the second one is from To Kill a Mockingbird. And I suppose it might be heard in this context as a rather dark
What did it say
quote.
again?
It says, "I wanted you to see what real courage is, instead of getting the idea that courage is a man with a gun in his hand. It's when you know you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway, and you see it through no matter what. You rarely win, but sometimes you do."
Yeah. Okay. Life is like that. You know, we're you know, all improvement occurs in time, one guru says, and therefore is temporary. All improvement is temporary. If you make things better, eventually it's going to get washed away. It is, you know.
It's like building a sandcastle.
But
if you
we
don't
can still
build
make it better, right?
You don't have the sandcastle for any amount of time if you don't build it.
Yeah, you're licked before you begin, yeah. Might as well, if that's a way of letting go of the attachment to, quote, success, that's a good thing.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say for the men here who are here today, or the men who are going to be watching this video?
There's probably a lot, and I have no idea. So if somebody has a question or something, then
well,
I mean,
we'll go into that. But I just wondered if there's anything particularly on your mind and your heart that you wanted to say.
This, you know, enrollment is generosity, and there's no way to make it make sense in terms of personal survival. It's so we need to take care of personal survival. You know, make sure you're making a living and protecting your family, and then what are you going to do with your sort of hobby time? Well, there's a lot of options. You can be on a drug hotline or whatever. One thing you can do is present this opportunity to people, and some of them will say yes. But it's not a... It is a high leverage way to cause good things to happen. But it's not particularly... The benefit to you is marginal. It's... Doing it for your own benefit isn't going to last long, you know. And at the same time, it's not some nobility either. It's like the safer men are under great attack right now. You know, men have given away a lot of the what they had in the world. They're ridiculed in the media constantly, and many men feel alone or you know, just not okay, but not sure why. And you know, the Men's Weekend's an opportunity to do something about that. So, the more you can do for your environment, if you are responsible for some man doing the weekend, his children are going to forever benefit. Because they have a strong dad, and hopefully a strong mom too. And
thank you.
Yeah.
And actually, by way of that, I want to again thank you from all of us, and also on a personal level, for your courage and your persistence over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to make sure that everyone knows that, as you said earlier, not only have you sponsored a lot of men into the Men's Weekend and helped them, but you've also, I'm sure you have an equally high total, if not higher, for helping people find their way to the Landmark Forum, to Insight, and to many other workshops. So
right.
It's just phenomenal, and I want to make sure I say everything I want to say to you. So